There is a setting that all gimbals have, no matter what gimbal you use, that I don't think a lot of people understand, nor do I see a lot of people talk about. And you got to change that, because this is one of those settings that I truly believe impacts how smooth your video is when using your gimbal. That feature is called deadband. Simply put, deadband is how reactive the gimbal is to whatever movements you are putting on it. If you have a lower deadband, it's a lot more reactive. If you have a higher deadband, it's a lot less reactive. I'll give you an example. I'm always looking to get the smoothest possible shots I can get, whether that's for a wedding, whether that's for real estate. I just want the smoothest shots. You're doing fast-paced stuff like sports or whatever, you're going to have different settings to this, but I'm just looking for the slowest, smoothest shots I can get. A lot of the time that involves me walking. Now, even if I'm walking slowly, you might be making very subtle movements with the gimbal that you don't really want it to react to. But if you have the deadband set incorrectly, it's going to react to those movements and create unnecessary movement that you didn't want it to make. If you have the deadband set correctly, it's not going to take any of those little subtle movements, and it's just going to stay locked on whatever direction you're moving, and that's how you're getting the smoothest possible shots that you can get. Editing Chris here. I've realized mid-edit that it might seem like what I'm talking about is the same as just holding the trigger, which removes any movements and basically locks the position. It's not. If you want to do a shot like I'm showing on the screen right here, that wouldn't be possible by holding the trigger. By setting the deadband correctly, you can make those movements and still have it smooth. Just to clear that up. Back to the video. I can demonstrate this by changing the Ronin RS3 here. Whatever gimbal you have will have these same settings. They might be slightly differently laid out or whatever, or called something different, but in general, all gimbals have a deadband setting within them. Deadband right now is set to high. Let's change it to low, which is where it's going to be very reactive on the slow mode here. I can show you the same thing again in the fast mode to exaggerate a little bit. So it's still reacting when I make those movements, but you see how much I'm moving the gimbal left and right here. Let's change this deadband now to high. Now look how much I have to move it before it reacts. You see how much more I have to turn it? It's quite a lot. So you can see by having the deadband set higher, there's more tolerance for movement. So if you are making subtle movements, it's not going to pick them up, and that means your shots are smoother. For the gimbal to actually move when I want it to move, I have to make quite a long turn, and it's always going to be a much smoother turn than if it was more reactive and it would be a faster, more jarring turn. But we'll put it into fast mode to exaggerate and make it a little bit more obvious for you. Deadband we're going to have set to low. It's going to be very reactive to any little movement that I make. As you can see right there, little subtle movements. The gimbal is moving quite sharply, quite abruptly. But if we change this deadband to high, you'll now see that it's a lot smoother and a lot less reactive making those same movements. Now that could be the end of the video for you. If you now understand what deadband means, you can go into whatever gimbal you have and change the settings and get smoother shots. But if you want to see exactly the settings that I use, let's talk about those now. Now these are settings for real estate, for weddings, very smooth, slow shots that I'm potentially walking for. Sometimes it's stationary and I'm mimicking like a slider movement, but these are the settings I use to get those smooth shots. Within the Ronin app, I go into my user profile here, and typically I am using the pan follow mode. What that means is it's not reacting to the up and down movements here. It's literally just reacting to the left and right movements from the gimbal. And I'm in the follow speed of slow. Again, if you're shooting sports, completely different settings. This is for what I shoot. Deadband set to high. And then the push mode is push tilt, but that's irrelevant to this video. From here, go into control and then motion. And for my pan, high, slow, high, tilt, high, slow, high, roll, high, slow, high. That's it. That is the settings that I use to get those smooth shots that you've seen, again, throughout this video. Now, there's a couple of other things that are going to really help you get much smoother shots. The number one thing, believe it or not, is going to be how well balanced the gimbal is. I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video. There's a ton of great examples out there that you can go and watch. But once it is balanced correctly, you need to make sure that you are calibrating it correctly. That is this button right here. And then you click calibrate. That is going to calibrate the gimbal and set the motor's torque and the power at which they're working within the gimbal with whatever setup you have on it correctly. You need to make sure you're doing that anytime you change the setup you have on the gimbal. That is going to do a lot to help you get those smooth shots too. You'll see that I am actually using the super smooth mode. You don't necessarily have to use that mode, especially on some of the older gimbals. They don't have that mode, and you may have had to use a lens support on the setup that you're using as well. With the RS3 and the RS3 Pro, I haven't been using lens support, and I haven't had any issues using the super smooth mode. But if you don't have that, you don't necessarily have to use that. just works really well with the RS3 and the RS3 Pro. Basically, that's it. Just doing those things I've just talked about and shown you. Set your deadband correctly, make sure the gimbal is balanced properly, calibrate it, do those settings within your phone. That's how you're getting the smoothest shots you can possibly get. That's all I've got for you in this video. Super quick, super easy. Go change those settings, and I think you'll see a big difference in your footage. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.